There is something many parents don't realize. You can successfully control your child's spiritual life and still lose their heart. Not immediately, not obviously, but slowly over time. Because control can produce results, but not ownership. And without ownership, faith doesn't last. Let me explain. There was a young girl who did everything right. She prayed when she was told. She fasted when it was declared. She followed every instruction given to her. From the outside, she looked spiritually grounded, disciplined, committed. But inside, something was missing. Not rebellion, not disobedience, just emptiness. Because every decision she made spiritually was made for her. What to believe, how to pray, when to act. She didn't discover faith. She inherited control. Now, here is where it becomes dangerous. When a child grows up like this, they don't learn how to walk with God. They learn how to depend on you. So instead of building a relationship with God, they build a system of approval around you. Am I doing it right? Will my parents approve? Is this acceptable? And without realizing it, you become the center of their faith, not God. Now pause and think about that. If your child's spiritual life depends on your presence, what happens when you're no longer there? Because one day they will step out into school, into friendships, into the real world. And in that moment, they will have to decide, do I believe this for myself? And if the answer is no, everything begins to shake. Now, let me ask you something. Have you been guiding your child or replacing their personal journey? Because there is a thin line between the two. Guidance says, let me show you the way. Control says, follow exactly as I say. And over time, control removes curiosity. It removes questioning. It removes personal discovery. And without those, faith becomes shallow. Now, here is something many parents miss. Struggle is part of spiritual growth. Questions are part of understanding. Doubt, even, is part of building conviction. But when everything is controlled, there is no room for growth, only compliance. And compliance is not the same as belief. Now, here is the hidden cost no one talks about. A child who never learns to own their faith will either depend on others forever or walk away completely. Because at some point, they will want to think for themselves. And if they were never taught how, they will either feel lost or feel restricted. And both can push them away. So what should you do instead? Shift your role from controller to a guide, from an enforcer to an example. Let them see what you do. Let them learn from action. Because your goal is not to control their actions, it is to develop their understanding. Let them ask questions, even uncomfortable ones. Let them think, even if it takes time. Let them grow, even if it looks slow. Because a child who discovers faith holds on to it stronger than a child who was forced into it. And this is where real faith begins. Not in pressure, not in control, but in personal conviction. Now imagine this. A child who doesn't just follow instructions, but understand what they believe. A child who doesn't depend on your presence, but stands firm on their own. A child whose faith is not borrowed, but built. That is the goal. Not control, but ownership. Not perfection, but understanding. Because in the end, your child is not meant to live your faith. They are meant to develop theirs. Get that. Thanks for watching. Welcome to ParentWise with MJ, where we raise wiser parents and better children. If this gave you a new perspective, don't forget to subscribe. And know this, that sometimes the strongest faith is not the one we enforce. The strongest faith is the one we allow to grow.